approach, you know how you get approached by organizations, and they're always approaching you, and you're thinking, oh God, all right, so what do you want? Because they're asking you for particular things for to put in their auction or to do this or do that, and it may not actually be something that's your passion, but you're thinking, okay, well, let me people kind of have like this small thing that they give out to almost anyone to ask about it, and it's not very purposeful. So I like the idea of where you can already decide how and where you want to be purposeful, and then how it would make a difference not only to you, but maybe even for the employees that you're working with, so that they can get more on board about it. So that's just my comment.
Oh, Deb, that's so exciting. My gosh, that's exactly why Elizabeth and I wanted to put this together, because we've both worked for, I currently work for a company, and she worked for a company that was a pretty big company. And I always felt like we were the smallest company in the room every time I went to a conference, but yet I felt very passionate about what we were doing. And Elizabeth and her company, they were so innovative, and they really personalized it, and that was something that, I intended to do as well. Is just like, how do you make sure that what you're doing in the giving community really resonates with your employees, with your mission statement, and with who you really are, instead of just, yeah, we all give these things when people will call and they'll say, oh gosh, could you do this? And if it seems like it's a fit, you'll say yes. But it's so much better when you can actually make it strategic and everybody just really feels like they benefit from it, and they can get on board, and it's a cause they can believe in. So that was really our intent, is just to show all companies of every size how much their efforts really mean, and how you can be really strategic about that.
Well, that was a beautiful segue. So let's and Annie is absolutely right. So we started this because we really wanted to really these three things. We wanted people to understand companies, regardless of your size. So what are really the financial and the intangible benefits of a charitable giving strategy? How you can maximize your company's impact in the community. And also we're going to talk about at the end how you can really see some results by the end of the year. We've got kind of an exciting thing planned. But just to give you a little overview of Annie and I, because she mentioned it. So Annie is with TD Williamson, and she is kind of a community relations guru. Their company is across the world, and so she's got a lot of experience with coordinating lots of different types of community relations activities based on what her employees need, what works. She has just great resources on measurement and how to really make an impact and understand that impact. And she's an incredibly active volunteer, so she's kind of all over town. So there's not much she doesn't know about the giving community here, especially in Tulsa. My background, so I own King PR and marketing now, but for the majority of my career, I was in community affairs, and I had the great pleasure of starting the Cox Charities Foundation with Cox Communications. And so it was so much fun to be involved in the giving process, getting employees engaged in giving, actually seeing the impact that it did have on the business as far as productivity and employee engagement, as well as that customer loyalty, and sharing that and building the brand through community giving. So today, here's kind of highlights on what we're going to be talking about. We're going to talk about the difference between charitable giving and corporate social responsibility, because a lot of times these are used interchangeably, but there are some differences, and charitable giving is really kind of where the overlap happens. We're going to talk about the impact of giving. So giving you some statistics about what really is the impact. We're going to talk about how to create a giving strategy. If it's something you've wanted to incorporate into your company, but just didn't know where to start, we're going to show you how to do that. And then we're going to talk about some tools and things that we have in place to help you with that. And if at any point in time you've got questions along the way, just feel free to kind of raise your hand and let us know, or put something in the chat box and we can answer your questions. All right, so throughout this, we've got some quotes that I just love about charitable giving. And so I believe social responsibility begins with a strong, competitive company. Only a healthy enterprise can improve and enrich the lives of people and their communities. And that's absolutely true. So if you don't have your business in order and your house in order, then there's no way that you can give back to the community. But when you are strong and healthy, then it gives you so many opportunities to give back. So let's talk a little bit about the difference between charitable giving and corporate social responsibility. So charitable giving is really focused on promoting kind of the common good, improving quality of life. This is a lot of where your nonprofit activities come in, versus corporate social responsibility, or CSR, as it's often called, which integrates a lot of social and environment concerns into your business operations. So CSR really is kind of all-encompassing of your company, and it looks at different aspects, whereas charitable giving is really just focused on giving back. And when you think about charitable giving, I really like to think of it in kind of 3 different buckets, which is time, talent, and treasure, because there are multiple ways that you can give back. You've got your time, which is obviously volunteerism, serving on boards. You've got talent. So your employees have so many different talents that can be utilized to give back to the community. And then treasure, obviously, what kind of monetary or in-kind donations can you be making? So some examples of charitable giving could be, as I said, monetary donations. They could be sponsorships. Sometimes it looks like an employee matching gift. There's volunteerism, serving on boards, pro bono services. If you are a service organization, a lot of times there are things that you can give back as far as your time and your expertise. Serving on nonprofit boards is a great way to give back and to be able to share your knowledge and expertise with organizations that need your experience. And then there's always the opportunity of creating something on your own, something that works just for your organization. Annie, I'm going to let you talk about corporate social responsibility.
Thanks, Elizabeth. This is so exciting. You know, the thing is that these 2 terms are often used interchangeably, but I love how you have kind of delineated like what this is, the differences between them. But you know, in any good corporate social responsibility program, you're going to integrate your charitable giving, right? So that should be just like a big part of what it is, how you do things. I think that corporate social responsibility, CSR, is really like the way you think about it. So, you know, sometimes it might be more about environmental concerns, and other times it might be more about like economic responsibility, and sometimes that like looks like business development opportunities, ethical responsibilities, DEI, philanthropic stuff, which again overlaps so much with what we're doing with charitable giving. So you can hit the next slide too. That's great. So here are a few national brands that Elizabeth and I discussed that have really strong CSR, and I'm sure that you recognize most, if not all, of these names. I know that I do, and I mean, I can even imagine their ads and even some of the initiatives that they've taken that really have made a difference in the community, and sometimes that's why their customers love them so much. We have a lot of strong brands in our own community that you probably have seen supporting lots of different initiatives as well. So love this quote that Elizabeth found: creating a strong business and building a better world are not conflicting goals. They're both essential ingredients for long-term success. And I think that that is so true. I know it's definitely true, not only of our own strategic goals within the company that I work for, but within what our customers care about and what our employees care about. That is what keeps them together. It really is. I mean, our customers really feel much more aligned with us because they share our giving values, and so do our employees. When our employees say, this is who we are, it means so much because our work life is so much a part of who we are. So here are some things that really can show you how the impact of giving will improve your business. You can demonstrate community leadership when you put your name on something and it's sincere and authentic. It's something you really care about. Other companies of your size or otherwise, will reach out, because I know I've actually seen this in operation, where they'll say, "Oh, well, my gosh, TD Williamson supporting that? That's great. Maybe we will too, and tell us what you like about this organization." It's pretty exciting. We can really make a collective impact that way. Building customer loyalty, again, what I talked about before. When the customer feels like you really hear what they care about too, you feel united in a whole different way. Increasing the workforce attraction. My gosh, that has been something that I'll say that, especially in the last 5 years, I've been in this job for 17 years. And in the last 5 years, whenever HR has had me onboard a new employee, prior to that, I would have to explain to them, what is community relations? What is our volunteer program? What is this? What is that? Instead, now I'm seeing that our new hires are saying, "We looked you up, and this was one of the reasons that we joined your company." And that's really exciting to me, because they joined the company partially because of what we're already doing, and they want to be a part of it. And that's what they always say. Reducing employee turnover. And as a company that's hit some ups and downs in the last few years, I have to say it's been really exciting to hear that so many employees have said, "You know what? We stayed here because the values of this company and what you guys are doing in community relations really aligns with who we are." And in fact, it has been a real help for us during slow times, during the pandemic, being able to put employees out in the community when things were slow. Like, for example, engineers who could help design exhibits at the Discovery Lab, or something else, helping people feel like their day was really worth something. Improving productivity. I'll have to say that when people come back from a volunteer project, they feel much more committed to their job. They feel like, "Wow, I just remembered all over again why I love this place and why I love what I do." And being able to talk to kids about what I do has been really exciting. And of course, enhancing brand awareness. We don't do it just for that, but it really is it is a great benefit that really does resonate. And again, if you do everything with authenticity and it really matches who you are, then it really is going to be so much better.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk a little bit about the numbers, because we can give you anecdotal things all day long, because we've got lots and lots of stories about how it has impacted our employees in the past and our companies. But there really is a lot of statistics around the true impact of giving. So as for your customers, 90% of consumers worldwide will switch to a brand that supports a good cause. Think about in your own life, are there brands that you support because they align with your values? Or 85% of consumers have a positive image of a product or a company when it supports a cause that they talk about. The one that I love is 55% of consumers are willing to pay extra for products and services that contribute to positive change. I mean, that's huge. Think about that. If they know that your values and what you're doing and what you're giving back aligns with what they're doing, they're willing to pay more for your services just to be involved in your company. And that's customer loyalty. And that has a direct impact on your bottom line. So the impact of giving on your employees. So 93% of companies employees believe companies must lead with purpose. And 70% of employees say they would not work for a company without a strong purpose. Now this is a shift, and you're finding that younger workforce, this is something that's very important to them. So if they do not feel aligned with your values, with what you believe in, then they will go and job hop. So it's something that they're actively looking for. To Annie's point, they're looking up and researching companies before they even apply to see, hey, are they giving back? Are there opportunities for me to become involved in the community, in addition to just working for the job? And companies that do have employee giving strategies, there's a 50% reduction in churn among companies that engage in socially valuable projects. I mean, workforce retention and hiring people right now is tough. And so finding the right people and getting people, once you hire them, to stay is incredibly important. And then there's the overall impact of giving on your business. So really, a well-designed charitable giving program can increase employee engagement by up to 7.5%. It increases employee productivity by 13%. Annie just had employees come back from Day of Caring last week. And I know that they are on a volunteer high right now. Reducing employee turnover by 50%. And it can increase revenue by as much as 20%. I mean, again, customer loyalty and people paying more for your services because they believe in you. So another quote that I love: goodness is the only investment that never fails. So really what we wanted to give you today is, if you've thought about having a giving strategy before, what are the steps? How do you do it? Because it can feel a little bit overwhelming if you're like, okay, I know that I don't want to give to every Little League team that asks me for a donation, but I hate saying no. I hate that, but it doesn't align with my business. It doesn't align with our company values. This isn't where we want to invest our time, talent, and treasure. So to get started, you really need to start thinking about your company as a whole. So what are your business goals for the year? What are you trying to achieve? Are there specific ways that community giving could help you achieve those goals? I mean, are there activities? Are there ways that you can engage your target audiences, whether that's your customers or your employees? But another thing to think about is how much time, money, and people resources are you willing to dedicate to community giving? So do you have a budget for not only just making a charitable donation, if that's something that you're interested in, or a budget for matching employee gifts? Are you willing to give PTO for volunteer time? Are you willing to let them take time off work? And also, do you have a budget for supplies for volunteer projects, for employee t-shirts? Do not underestimate the power of a t-shirt. It's amazing how that impacts employees. But think about, how much, do you really want to budget for your community giving strategy?
And this shouldn't be a deterrent. Like Elizabeth says, there's a lot of different ways to do it. You don't have to check every box. You just have to check the boxes that work for you. If you can't do the t-shirts right now, even though employees do love t-shirts, let me tell you, for Day of Caring, I'm telling you what, that was the first question everybody asked. Do we get a t-shirt? But there are so many different ways to do it. It took us a long time to get to the place where we could actually give people paid time off. And so, that, for example, took a little bit of HR work. So you might not be there with everything that's on that list, but pick and choose the things that are important and get started. I think that's the most important thing.
I don't want to interfere with your flow too much. However, I cannot miss this opportunity because on camera I have my Gilcrease Hills t-shirt, neighborhood founded in 1971. And when a number of members from the community took over school supplies to Greenwood Leadership Academy, which is our local elementary school, They, as many as possible, went wearing their neighborhood pride T-shirts, and when they they took their pictures and shared them on Facebook, and it was just a wonderful way of promoting that for neighborhoods to support their local schools, and I think that T-shirt spoke stronger than a lot of the words, because people go, oh, look, they have they have neighborhood T-shirts on, and they're supporting their local school. And again, they such a simple thing, and I tell you what, the smiles were so genuine, and they just can't wait to, they're asking the librarian, what else do you want?
I love that so much. That's fantastic.
All right. I couldn't miss that opportunity.
Well,
No,
absolutely.
it's a great example about how a small investment goes such a long way and just really building community, right? So.
Well, the next part in creating a giving strategy, and this is where you're creating your, what I call a giving umbrella. And so these are the things that fit under, these are the causes that you support. And so are there causes or charities that naturally align with your business services or products? I can think with Heat and Air, I mean, the Lung Association, or, are there environmental causes that would make sense? What causes and charities align with your company values? So this is where you're really looking at the core values of your company culture. What are things, I mean, you can even ask your employees what's important to them. Also, does the company founder or the CEO have any personal causes that they want to support? I know this comes into play a lot, especially with smaller businesses that I work with. If there's smaller companies, sometimes there is a passion project that, or something that is really near and dear to their heart that they want to support. For example, I had a client earlier this year they have a very small business, 2 locations, but the owner's son had a heart transplant as a teenager. And so for Organ Donor Awareness Month, we did a whole campaign. And so we had coupons there for 10% off that we offered, and those proceeds went to the Enduring Hearts Foundation. He just found ways to incorporate giving into something that he is so passionate about. I mean, he also serves on the board, but there are many ways that you can create a giving strategy, but figuring out kind of that giving umbrella. Maybe you pick 2 or 3 or 4 things that these are the causes that we want to support. And so not only can you say, when someone comes to you and say, hey, these are the things that we do support, but when you do get those little leagues and things that fall outside your scope, you can also say, no, these are the causes we support. This is how we support them. And I'm sorry we can't help you with that. But it also takes away that little bit of, oh, I'm so sorry we can't help. But we truly have a strategy in place that works for our business.
Yeah, Elizabeth is so right when she says that, because honestly, if you can set up a mission and guidelines for your program, and it can be very simple, just saying no becomes a lot easier, but saying yes becomes a lot more rewarding too. Again, if you can pick those causes and charities that align with your company values, or with something that your CEO or even somebody else within your company really cares about, that people can wrap their arms around and say, oh my gosh, yes, we can do this. This is something we all care about together. You can start to see that impact, and the energy around it becomes just, really exciting. So
Annie, you want to talk a little bit about ways that people can give, and how does this look?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. So when you're creating that giving strategy, this is a great segue, Elizabeth. So how will you support them? It could be monetary donations, which those can be just we'll going through the list. It could be something like a sponsorship. It could be a grant. It could be a lot of different things. So there's those monetary donations, in-kind donations. Does your business have something that they can give that is, might be helpful to a nonprofit? And so, I mean, I have a lot of friends who work for businesses where they have items that people need. And so they love being able to give those away. My company works in the oil and gas industry, so there's not a lot we can give away that really seems like it would be helpful. However, our local school called us up last year and said, by any chance, do you have umbrellas? Because our kids don't have buses and they can't walk to school in the rain, and we were having a lot of rainy days. Well, we happen to have some branded umbrellas. We gave those to the school and they were so grateful. You never know what the in-kind donations might be. Sponsorships are a great opportunity for your company to show up and really just learn more about the cause and be present in the room when they're doing one of their galas or events. Employee matching gifts. Do you have a budget where you can match what employees give? We already talked about grants. Pro bono services. You probably have a lot of employees who have some really great skills that nonprofits and schools can use. And volunteerism, that's something that is rewarding to everyone. Nonprofit boards are a great way to develop your team, as well as to provide really valuable resources to the nonprofits that we serve. Employee relief programs, that's something if our own employees get in trouble or, have a disaster, like for example, earlier this summer when we had all of the power outages, there were so many people who were in need. Maybe they lost everything in their refrigerator because they were without power for a week. We worked with Tulsa Community Foundation, for example, along with a lot of other companies that do, to put together an employee disaster relief program so they can provide people with short-term emergency relief for different things. Not just something like that. It could be a natural disaster. It could be a health problem or a fire. And then creating your own giving program, which is the most rewarding of all, to just really make it very personal and something that resonates with your company and your own employees.
Yeah, there's so many different opportunities to get involved and to just customize it for what works for your company. But one of the things I wanted to talk about is how you incorporate your giving strategy into your branding. I had a boss that once said, no company can afford to be anonymously altruistic, which is absolutely true. And for a lot of companies that are giving for the right reason, it is really hard to tell your story. It's hard to share, what you're doing and use it as a way to show what you're doing without feeling like you're bragging or you're boasting. But when we look at those stats again, if your customers don't know what you're doing, then they won't know how your company is aligning with their values. And so it's one of the ways that I wanted to share from a branding perspective or a marketing perspective is how this all lays out. So you have your annual business goals, and then you may have your quarterly marketing goals. And then you also have a giving goal. So what is it that you're trying to accomplish through your giving to help achieve those marketing and annual goals? And then it's just kind of creating a strategy. I will shamelessly plug, if you need help with creating how to create a marketing strategy, I've got a series of webinars on YouTube called What Works. And so there is one that's how to create a marketing strategy, and it'll go into a lot more detail about how this all works out and how you can really be more effective in your marketing. Because the last thing I want you to do is throw tactics against the wall like spaghetti just to see what sticks. I'd like you to be a little more strategic about it. So what does this look like? So your annual business goal, say it's reducing your employee churn by 50% by the end of the year. So how does that kind of work out? So your marketing goal would be to demonstrate your corporate citizenship by highlighting 4 charitable giving activities through internal and external marketing by December 31st. Well, one of the ways that your giving goal could also be to engage 50 employees in a hands-on volunteer activity with a nonprofit organization by the end of September. So your strategy could be to volunteer to paint and landscape at a nonprofit organization as part of the United Way Day of Caring in September. So that happened last week. I know Annie had teams out there doing lots of different things. And so that's really kind of where this inspiration came. Also, my very first job out of college was with the United Way, and my job actually was to help coordinate the Day of Caring and get all those companies on board. So this is near and dear to my heart. So when it comes to kind of creating that task list, this is a very condensed version, but obviously you're going to be creating an employee committee, or someone's going to be coordinating the volunteer activities and the supplies, ordering company t-shirts for volunteers. But also it's part of your marketing strategy. So how are you planning to tell people how you are involved, both internally and externally? So, sharing the photos on social media. I mean, one of the best things that can happen for your brand is when employees are sharing photos from your company page. They're like, oh, look at what we're doing, and showing their company pride. Including photos or an article if you do a customer newsletter, talking about what you're doing, sharing those photos if you've got an internal newsletter, or just having an email go out and say, hey, this is what we did, so that even those that weren't involved can see what was happening. Maybe it's sharing on your website, but making sure that both your employees and your customers know what you're doing is a great way of just sharing who you are as a company, what values you believe in, and how you are demonstrating that you are a good corporate citizen, that you're out there trying to make a difference in the community. You're not just out there making money, you're actually making a change. Annie, you kind of want to give an overview?
Sure, absolutely. And, to tag on to what you just said, Elizabeth, you don't ever underestimate the power of your nonprofits. Your nonprofits really want to share that story too. If you've gotten involved with them, they're going to share it all over their social media. So you can also repost that, and then, keeping that dialogue going. Thank them for the opportunity. They'll definitely thank you, but thank them, because it is a two-way street. And the more that we can build community together, the stronger we all become. When we're creating a giving strategy, we really want to create really smart goals to make sure that we are accomplishing what we set out to do. Who is our target audience? Who do we want to engage with? So definitely you have to, outline what is the time that you can devote. How much money do you have? And what about people? What about your people resources? Those are your most valuable resources. In your giving strategy, you're going to think about, what are the causes you care about? What are the charities you're going to support? Deb mentioned the local school, which is so exciting. And that's really, a critical way to the Greenwood Leadership Academy. That's really a critical way to for businesses to develop a great relationship, is to really engage with that neighborhood school. Okay, so you're going to define which activities you want to start with to implement your giving goals. And again, you can start small. You don't have to start with everything all at once. And then you're going to create an action plan. How are we going to get going? So then the next steps, put it in writing, develop a giving policy, start researching the nonprofits, and begin building relationships. And Elizabeth and I can help. We've done so much of this, and we've met with so many of the nonprofits, and so we are happy to be a resource to you. And then also educating your employees and customers about the giving program. That's really a critical piece as well. That's another way that you can learn about the nonprofits too, is ask your employees, what do you care about? Now, the first thing that I did 17 years ago when I started in my role, I was just learning. So I said, I put together a survey, and the HR team said, you'll never get anybody to respond to that. Well, guess what? I mean, at that time, we had 400 employees in Tulsa, and I got 300 surveys back in writing, in interoffice mail. Some of them were written like front side and back side, because people were passionate. People care about what they care about. And when they hear that their company is interested in listening to that, that's what helped me ignite the passion that I have for this, and to really help put it into action in a way that really benefited everyone. You know, we didn't want it to be one person's decision or a small group. We wanted it to be everyone together.
Well, this is what we are really, really excited about. So we can talk like high level about, okay, this is how you do it. But because Annie and I have done this so much for our companies and with our employees, we actually wanted to create a hands-on giving strategy workshop. And so we wanted to take half a day and bring companies in to help them develop their giving strategy. And so it's going to be helping you with all of the things that we've talked about. It's your strategic alignment. It's figuring out what causes align with your business, what follows or what ties with your mission, your values, your products and services, helping you create your giving umbrella. We're going to talk about impact. You know, we're going to go through, you know, how can you implement this? How can you, you know, what activities are right for your company? Whether you're starting small or whether you want more of a robust giving strategy, but we're going to come up with an action plan for 2024. And so how can you give next year? And what does that look like for your business? I think what we're also really excited about is because we want to help you put together a holiday of giving campaign. We want you to be able to start right away, and now is the perfect time to create a giving strategy for the holidays. And so we've got, you know, lots and lots of ideas, and we're gathering some easy, simple ways that you can do that, or we can help you create something that's uniquely your own. But this way you'll actually be able to see results by the end of the year with your own company. I'm so excited about this. This is something I've wanted to do for years and years. And so we're just October 5th, we will be having this hands-on workshop. We'll be at a nonprofit organization, so you'll be able to hear from an executive director, as well as have Annie and I. You can bring 3 of your employees and actually have a true workshop. And at the end of the day, you're going to be walking away with your giving umbrella, your action plan, and a holiday giving campaign. And so if you want to get involved, I've got a QR code here. And then after the webinar, I'm going to be sending you an email that'll have all the details about the workshop. Annie, is there anything you want to add?
No, except that I'm just so excited that you wanted to do this too, Elizabeth. This has been such a really exciting collaboration. I have to say that end of the year giving has always been one of those things where it seemed like something that there was just a lot happening all at once, and being able to collect all of it and just really celebrate it together has been one of the most rewarding things that I can imagine. And I just really hope that we can help all of you feel that too. I know you get a lot of solicitations at the end of the year, but if you can really figure out what it is that you care about, that you want to volunteer for, that we can help you put that together, you're going to end this year on a really high note and be able to go into 2024 with a great strategy. And I think that's what Elizabeth and I are so excited about, for sure.
Absolutely. To have companies be able to see those results by the end of the year, to get their companies engaged in the community in a way that maybe you haven't done before. Because there's such a need, especially coming out of COVID. There's such a need for connection right now. And there are just, you know, there's so many people that have been impacted with inflation and all the different things in the world right now. There's no shortage of ways that you can give back and help others. So just having a way to be strategic and find a way for your company to get involved and to get your employees and your customers involved, I think it's just tremendous.
Yeah, and if you're overwhelmed with it, which I know I certainly was at first, and get that way from time to time, we're happy to do the research for you because we're constantly active in this field. So we know about a lot of different causes and organizations that we can help you with. So if there's something that you're particularly interested in, we can help you get connected. So in addition to developing the strategy, we can also help you put that into action. And that's what we really want to see, is to make sure that you guys can put into action the things that you really want to achieve. Make it easy for you.
So we are going to be, we're trying to spread the word about what we are doing with these. And so we are going to be offering the same webinar again next week, on the 19th at 1:00. So if there is someone that may be interested in creating a giving strategy and they'd like to know more, feel free to share this information with them. But we hope that you are interested in joining us for our workshop. And I'm going to leave you with my very favorite quote about giving. And never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. So thank you so much for joining us today. Are there any questions that we can answer before we end the call? Okay, well, if not, then I will give you the rest of your hour back, and I look forward to seeing you all very soon.
Thank you all.
Did I end the recording?